Yeah, we go to our friend's neighborhood since we have coffee and there's like 20 houses, so it's very small. So there's. It didn't ship the memo.
That'd be sweet.
Right, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, totally changed my perspective.
How was your meditation trip?
Very interesting,
Where'd you go?
very different. Florida,
I know, but what part of Florida?
Orlando.
Ooh, Orlando, that was so much sick of me.
Wow, that's very good. I didn't really say Gaylord. I didn't have like her. But I'm inside. But yeah, we'll have to go out and chat.
How are you doing, Susan?
Was there any-
Fine,
was
thank
there-
you. Yes.
No.
Going along.
No, not that I saw, I didn't.
Yeah.
But it did.
Are you full time? That's
Same
the classes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Meaning downtown.
It's actually very easy, like 7 minutes from my house.
That's nice, actually.
So,
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
Which is really, like, it's really hard. We've been recruiting, they just that.
So you're at the Glass Museum too, besides the Lake World Garden?
No, I'm just at the Glass Museum now. I used to be at Lake World Gardens.
Oh,
For 5 years.
Wow.
Because, like, I was
Then the Glass Museum asked me to come back, so I came back.
nice. I was there, what was that last week when they had the Woodwinds 5 play?
Yes.
Weren't they beautiful? They were
Very
so-
charming.
Yeah, very
Very
charming.
charming.
They were very nice group, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that was a fun day.
Good, good.
Mhm.
Anyway. So I'll make it email. Right.
It should be pretty straight.
Okay, welcome everybody. I am just gonna be at the end of the table here for a minute, but this is where our artists are gonna be. As you know, this is a special meeting. It's not our regular meeting. But I wanted to start by introducing 2 new members of 3 new members who will be starting on in November. But they're here today. On the left at the end, we have Dawn. Welcome, Dawn.
Dawn.
Hey, Dawn.
Welcome.
And we have Nancy.
Hi,
Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
And if there's time when I'm done, just going over some of the logistics of today, we'll have them tell more about themselves. And they're just observing. So I wanted to go over some logistics. So the process for this meeting is I'm going to go over some ground rules, some living agreements I've made, the expectations for today. Then we'll have Rodney King come and he'll present. And then we have our voting forms and everyone's going to vote. There will be no dialogue after the artist presents. The reason for that is so that everyone can stick with their original thoughts and not be, if there's any intimidation from comments or anything, none of that will take place. People can just vote from their hearts, write down or at least write down your notes of what you think the score is going to be. Then, so we'll have time for that. And then Perko, the artist, will come and he'll present and we'll do the same thing. You'll look at your notes, you'll get to spread the 2 in your head, and then you'll write your final score. So if you just take a minute and look at your sheet, scoring sheet right now, why don't you put your name? So in this bottom gray square, says your name and date. So why don't you just do that now? And then below that, after both have presented, is when you'll circle your final selection, the name, So it can be Rodney, it can be Perico, or you can abstain. So you have three choices. If Rodney King is only presenting one piece, I don't know what Perico is going to do, but if, let's say he's got three pieces with different names, there's a place down here to also, so you were voting for him, you'd circle his name, and then if there was a piece you liked the most, you'd put that here, and then you could put anything you want in the comments. So the first two columns up at the top are just really when they're talking, you can write notes, you can put what you think your score is going to be, but ultimately, after they've both presented, you'll put your final score, and whoever your circle needs to have the highest score. Okay, so make sure that you adjust according. Are there any questions on this? Sylvie, can you hear okay? Oh, you probably don't want to talk. Sylvie
Yeah,
wants-
I can hear. I'll email it. Thank you.
Okay, so we have that. The artist will be right here. So I just wanted to remind everyone that these meetings are public meetings and they're live streamed, and then they go to YouTube. So any dialogue we have around the table, people see. And I just want to remind everyone of that so that we can have a really mindful conversation. It reflects on our reputation, how we present to each other. We all have our opinions, which is great, and we want to hear your opinions. But I just want to ask everyone to really, before you speak, really pause and breathe and think about how you want to present, the tone of voice you want to use, and if it's respectful to everyone around the table and to the artist, because the artist viewed the YouTube videos from last time. So they heard everything. They, and so that said, when an artist sees the dynamics of a group of an arts commission and they see discord, now that discord isn't sharing your opinion because that's really important. But if an artist sees discord and that a lack of cooperation or the lack of working through conflict, I was reading something that said conflict is not a problem. Conflict is a path to a resolution. But are we able to get to that resolution? So if we start getting a reputation for being an arts commission that has trouble working together, that word, the arts community is very small, and word will get out and they'll see that as a sign that it's going to be a tumultuous road to the finish line for them, and they're going to start opting out. So I just want everyone to be very aware of that. I also wanted to mention that I talked to Patty Bell. Councilmember Bell is our liaison to the Art Commissions, and she left early. She wanted to know how the meeting ended. I told her that the artists were coming back with refined and/or new concepts today, and that we were going to vote today for the installation. And she said, "Great." She just wanted you to know that she said, "Great." We have her support with the process that we're proceeding with. The timeline. So originally we said that we wanted this to by January 11th. That was it. We were going to vote 2 weeks ago. So we didn't vote 2 weeks ago. And now that timeline is probably not realistic. And I just wanted to say that that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is that we pick the right artist. Of course, both artists are going to work their best to get it done by January 11th when the event is. But we aren't going to put that an unrealistic expectation on the artist. We have a mural called The World Lives in Lakewood. It was our first mural that was done. It has a representation of every culture in the community, every ability, veterans. And it's also it's at the Clover Park High School. It was done by students along with the professional artists. And it's also on a canvas and it goes around to an event. So we will be able to have that at the event. So we'll have something. Thank you, Nikki. There it is. I don't know.
Oh.
Okay. So, the other thing I wanted to say is I think that I just really want to point out that we have a history of successes. We've done like over 30 signal boxes that I think are the best in the state, personally. And so we can believe in ourselves. And I don't think you have to put too much pressure on yourself to have just the perfect mural. This is one of many murals. It's not the be all end all. It doesn't have to be the best one, the most amazing one, the one that every single person's going to like. It's going to be one of many. We have $30,000 next year to spend on public art. If we put it all towards murals, that can be 3 murals that we could do next year. And, you know, we need to think about, is it really pragmatic to have every culture represented in one mural? I've talked with several artists and they said, you know, you don't see everyone in the entire community, every culture, a person of every cultural background, every ability, walking along the street. And it's not pragmatic, but over the course of time with all of our murals, we can represent everyone in our community. And we've already done it in the World Lives in Lakewood mural. So we've got that and we could feel good about that. So coming to consensus, I did want to say that everyone on the commission does have an obligation to come to consensus and find the best path forward. And that doesn't mean that the artist you love is going to get selected. Okay. The votes aren't unanimous. It's never been unanimous. But what the artist needs to know and what we need to do to work as a cohesive group is to everyone have the artist back. Everyone get behind the majority vote and put your personal, oh, hi, Lua. Yeah, so, and Lua actually, perfect timing. Lua was telling me that she was taught by a high chief, and the high chief taught her the importance of working as a team and getting behind the majority vote. Do you want to speak to that briefly, Lua?
Can't hear you. You're on mute.
And we have 2 minutes.
My dad always taught us that no matter what happens, majority votes, that's where our support will go to. So no matter how you feel about something, but as a family, when you decide on something, majority rules. And then you turn all your support and your heart and mind to support what the majority of your family said. So whatever happens today or when we're voting, we all need to take our feelings off and support what the majority rules to be. That's where the majority of the family is going, so that's where we're all going to go.
Thank you, Lua. And I just realized, so Daryl and Lua will need a rubric.
Send it to Daryl, need to send it to.
Okay, so Lua, Nikki's gonna send you a rubric so you can vote. Thank you, Lua. So, and then I wanted to say that I have a personal commitment and it is my obligation in my role facilitating this committee to really keep the historical knowledge of the concerns that are raised. So when I hear your concerns and I'm listening closely, we're taking notes, that I remember those and reiterate those at our next iteration of public art that we do. Okay, so you aren't going unheard. And then the last note, because the artist is going to be here shortly, is just our personal opinions. I think every single person here probably could say in great detail exactly their vision of this mural and what's on it and how it flows out and the colors. But that's not our role. So somehow get it in your mind to see if you can catch yourself. And I had the idea of just like calling it a red flag for yourself. Have this red flag over here. And if you catch yourself thinking, well, I'd like to see this and I'd like to see that. And what about this color? And that's when you throw yourself a red flag. That's what the professional artist is being hired to do, is to carry out his vision. And we have two incredibly popular professional artists who are working in Seattle, who are getting paid so much more of bigger projects than what we're doing. And we can really trust them, okay? And I think I'll stop there and I'll let our artists come in. Are there any questions? So Rodney's gonna come in, he's gonna present, we can ask him questions, and then he'll leave, and then we'll take our notes. There will not be a dialogue, but if you have questions for me, you can ask me.
Ask a quick question.
Yes.
Where is this mural proposed to be?
On the Barnet Court still.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Hello, you can sit right here, stand here, everyone, this is Rodney.
Hey, Rodney.
Abraham.
Hey, good to see
And I do want to say Rodney's signal box wraps are up and they're so cool.
They are.
They're on Lakewood and 100th Drive. If you haven't seen them, you should do drive by. And you can have the floor.
Alrighty, round two.
Round two.
So kind of, I switched up like my whole
Yeah.
mural for this one. So Beloved Community mural, artist Rodney King. This is Kingston LLC. As I read before, Dr. King's beloved community is the global vision in which all people can share the wealth of the earth. In the beloved community, poverty, hunger, and homelessness will not be tolerated because international standards of human decency will not allow it. Racism and all forms of discrimination, bigotry, and prejudice will be replaced by an all-inclusive spirit. A sisterhood and brotherhood in the beloved community. International disputes will be resolved in a peaceful conflict, resolution, and reconciliation of adversaries instead of military power, love, and trust will triumph over fear and hatred. Peace and justice will prevail over war and military conflict. So before, when I came previously, I was talking about working with Ali and getting a price of how much it would cost to have it duplicated. So she was able to give me this. So I plan on creating a mural. The minimum size of required of 10 by 30 feet. In order to accomplish this, I painted the mural on a piece of plywood size 2 by 6. I get duplicated on vinyl by Print Northwest or Super Graphics, but I'm going to go with Print Northwest and expand it to 10 by 30 foot requirement. I'm working with Ali Westbury at Print Northwest, and she was able to provide me with the estimate for the project, and I was quoted at $4,865. And that includes like the lift, the installation, and everything is broken down right there on that estimate. So they will take my 2 by 6 plywood. I'll take it to them. They're going to take it to another company, have it high resolution photo taken of it, and then at Print Northwest they will duplicate it, and then they'll provide the lift. Then they said the installation will be like 8 to 9 days, but they already did like a site survey and everything else. So once I provide them with the actual mural, they'll do everything else. And then I'm pretty sure we can be in contact with the commission, as far as any concerns and questions and everything as we're installing the piece. As you can see, that fits within like the 10,000. So it'd be basically half of like the 10,000 would be going for the actual installation, and then the other half. All right, so the focal point of this piece is unity. And so like in the middle of this piece, you'll see like unity spelled out like in a heart, focusing on us being united. Is I was developing this idea for my second presentation. I considered what the commission spoke about after I left, and a couple statements from the commissioner stood out. So I went back to the drawing board. So I basically, listened to like the YouTube version of like the The last commission's meeting, and, you know, a couple things stood out from like comments that was made and everything, and, you know, so I took that to heart when I created this one. So one commissioner said that I was picked because of my abstract style. So I went back to my abstract and, you know, started focusing more like abstract stuff. As you can see on there, you know, we wanted to incorporate Lakewood. So I spelled out Lakewood right there. And it's kind of like a window pane type style, like kind of like your church, you know, pane, stained glass. That's kind of like, you know, a lot of the style that I'm working with currently. And so throughout this piece, you're going to have so many different images. Thank you. Of like brotherhood and everything, without actually focusing on the hues of people's like faces and everything, because I definitely can include every single person because somebody's going to be offended in some way, shape, or form. So, you know, can't draw everybody. All right, so as I did in the previous piece, and which is my normal process, I spelled out different words throughout the piece in my abstract style. On this piece, I included beloved community and Lakewood and unity. So this is the piece basically stretched out like all encompassing of it. Right here, like I'm going to, as I finish it up, you're going to be able to stand out and see it says be love. And then, so as you can see, like the B on the far left, and then there's an E right there that I'm going around like the mountain. Then there's an L coming down like over at the tail end of the word Lakewood. And then the O will be the heart in the middle. And then there's a V, you know, right there, tail end. And then you see the E where the hands are clasped as well. And then I was thinking about putting like a exclamation point at the end where like that line's coming down. And I thought about putting like a circle with a line through it, you know, crossing out the word hate. So which is something I was thinking about. I haven't put in there yet because basically when I was looking up beloved community, you know, it's basically free from hate. And I wanted to make sure that, you know, that stood out as well. Oh, I use like the hues associated with, you know, the state of Washington and, you know, basically the logo of Lakewood. So you're going to have like the blues and the grays and different colors. And you're going to have like, you know, mountains and you see trees. I made the lines through there so people can definitely see that those are meant to be the trees, you know, that are going all through like the city and everything. Yeah, to make sure that it ties to Lakewood, you know, space. So this is pretty much what the size will look like when you actually have it installed. Beloved community in which everyone is cared for, absent of poverty, hunger, and hate. And that's from Reverend Martin Luther King. And that's pretty much how it would look being stretched out from that 10 to 30 size. I think it'd be, you know, my paintings, you know, like all the paintings that are from different like gallery shows I've done, like downtown, like with the brick wall. My use of like the red and the blues and the colors I use, it always look good, you know, when it's on top of red, you know, that's what so I noticed in my last one, I pretty much didn't have any red in there. My family always wonder why I use red. It's just like something I'm going to use. It catches the eye and everything. I think that it'd definitely be a piece that, you know, people will remember. They take pictures in front of, and as they're doing like their races and different markets up there, I think it'd be something that they're talking about. All right, so on this one, like I just further wanted to explain, you know, some of the symbols and images I got in here. So I got the like the hands or claps up there symbolizing working hand in hand. Got images associated with Lakewood, with the mountains and the trees, and even the BNI. You know, if you look at the Lakewood BNI, they have like that logo. I didn't put BNI on there, but I made sure I had the orange and the green on there. Trees in different hues of blues and gray associated with the city, and so like I said previously. On this one, image on the far left, this image represents community and brotherhood, universally understood. You know, just people like working together. And then I have like hands shaking in unison, multicolored, representing the varied ethnicities of our community. then I have people of all shapes and sizes working together, for a better community. I know last time I came, somebody made the comment that had like all skinny people, so I wanted to make sure, I had different sizes in there. So, make sure we're getting a little bit. So I'm still working on some lines in the piece, but as you can see, it's multi-layered. It's a piece that will be appreciated for all encompassing and for what it means about community. I think every time someone looks at it, they have a feeling akin to seeing it for the first time. There's so many different Easter eggs in the piece, and I think it will lead to meaningful conversations. So there's so many times that you're going to look at the piece and you can probably see it 3 different times and finally see words that are spelled out. And it's going to be like, wow, I didn't notice that the first time. Somebody else can see something that you may not have seen. So I think that makes it art. Anything that, I can look at, for over 5 minutes, I feel like it's going to be art. A lot of people can duplicate, somebody's portrait and everything. And there's, if I'm in a museum and I see that, it's like just walking around, it just seems like a photo. But like true art is something that is gonna have a conversation and that you remember different colors and how it spoke to you, when you saw it on the computer. Right.
Thank you. Wow.
Any questions or anything?
I have a question. So it's a 10 by 30, but it's broken up into 2 by 6 panels that all fit together like a puzzle that comprise the entire thing.
Okay.
And then, is that correct?
I would have to get with you to find out how they're going to break it down, but like on their estimates, you can see they put it based off of the size. It was how many inches on it? I think like 360 by 120. And so I would have to see let's say 4 sides, I think.
Yes, it's 4 sides.
Yeah, so it'd be like 4.
So 4 panels.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And then, is it, what is the surface like? Like, is it a shiny?
I think it's like they said that the best material is kind of like an aluminum type, material where because they had to have like the best material that's not going to like peel and they can handle like the harshness of the different elements that we face up here.
So it's not a vinyl wrap.
No.
It's like somehow.
I think it'd be something like akin to like a license. Is that what I think?
Uh-huh. So it wouldn't be overly heavy. It sounds like.
No, because they did like a site survey. They had to, make sure that they had like the right weight or whatever they're going to use to ensure that it can stay there.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, about the material and final look, and then graffiti will be, well, it's so busy, it might not be, some people don't want to do graffiti on something where it's not going to show up, but is it, did they talk about graffiti?
Yeah, usually like when they do like these pieces, they make sure they have like that anti-graffiti, whatever chemical they put on there.
Yeah, that is in the call is to have a graffiti coating, yeah.
We'll definitely make sure that, that we have that talk and sure that let's go.
Okay, ask away, everybody. This is your chance to interact with the artist.
I like
What
the
made-
vibrant.
What made you the B&I?
Just Lakewood. I'm looking up different images from Lakewood. I know, like when I wear like a B&I shirt, everybody's like, "Man, that's so Lakewood." So it's like,
I love that.
Very interesting.
Mhm.
I like that. Thank you. I love all the colors.
Mhm. It's pretty vibrant. Beautiful.
I'm glad you pointed out the be loved.
Oh, yeah,
Cause I didn't see that.
right.
I love that wording, be loved. That's nice.
Thank you, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, like, just like the last one, I spelled out beloved community, on here. And so like the more you look at, and maybe a guide through, you can actually see it, but it's like started off like spelling out, the community. And then, I added, all the stuff on top of it. So like, kind of be like great if I had like a time lapse so you can actually see all of that stuff in there. But when I put different like colors in there, like, when I lined out the B and the E and the L and stuff, that'll help, aid your eyes and actually be able to see it. But there's a lot of stuff, like in there, like spelled out.
So in the way that you're gonna work with Print Northwest to do this, will weather be like a condition? I think it would be a limited, I don't think that'll hinder you that much, right?
Right. It's like truthfully for me, it's my installation.
Exactly,
My
yeah.
installation will be all them. Like,
Yeah.
I literally would just give them the task, and they will do all the panels and everything and installation. So it won't be a concern for me at all.
Okay. And then the way it's gonna be affixed to the barn, it won't be permanently put, because the barn is historical, we're not, and so so it's not gonna be permanently affixed to not, you understand where I'm going.
Yeah, most definitely. I would think, how it would be installed is where, over time, if it became like an issue, they could.
And then move it
It's not like having to actually paint on the barn.
Exactly.
Which I love, the most about like this project, because I'd rather, do something like this where I can just paper stand something I can create on my kitchen counter or my garage. I don't want it outside.
But in the winter time.
Especially in the winter.
Mhm.
It's
Is there
nice and bright and you can see it from anywhere.
Mhm.
There's a lot of layers, so.
Is there anything in the process of creating it that, I don't know, you thought about that you hadn't thought about before, or?
I know, like, what I thought about, the most was like, I heard you say that I was safe, that my last piece was safe. I took that to heart because it was, because when I was creating that piece, I was just literally just trying to, make something that wasn't offensive, so it was safe. And so when he said that, I think he was kind of safe. I was like, you got to create how, this is how I normally create. I usually have like a lot of stuff. My wife, like when I create some, she's like, you need to say that for another piece. So, got different ideas for that piece, and so I'm super busy, with how I try to, show like my artistic freedom on different pieces. And like this piece seemed like it was done like 4 times, but yesterday I added more to it. So it's just something that, always it's never gone. The longer it be in my house, it will literally just keep it. So I gotta almost hide it somewhere. So,
Right, so.
leave it at, leave it at my wife's car.
Otherwise you go get it and then bring it back out.
Yeah, I gotta put something else in it.
Yeah.
Anyone on Zoom, want to ask any questions? Okay. Well, thank you so much. You obviously
you very
really
much.
went back to the drawing board. You
Beautiful.
listened to
Mhm. It's
the
beautiful.
comments
Very
and
nice.
sentiments of the commission, and you're back. Thank you. You're coming back. And it's a
You,
very,
Rodney.
Uh-oh.
I was saying thank you to Rodney.
Well, thank you guys for having me.
Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you, Rodney. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a few minutes, so just take this time to just reflect, write down your notes. Maybe just write in a sample score that you might give Rodney, just having seen what you saw. And while we're waiting for the other artists, read through our. But I'm gonna give you just some time, if you need to use the restroom, it's up by the door. There's some snacks and water.
How you typically would do this, or is this a new process? Or
This is our process, where we have a rubric, we score.
have to buy that, so.
Yeah, you can always see something new.
We actually haven't done a lot, you know, the signal boxes, we put them in a PowerPoint, we go through, we have a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of just, not so formal, like, oh, okay, does everyone want that one?
The bigger project.
Yeah. Exactly. So we haven't done that.
Shouldn't it be?
Yeah, it's not gonna be.
Oh, what was I the time? This is only like 10 minutes and that was all.
There's no kind of now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so far so good.
Oh, you're right.
Sorry.
So that it should be 6:15.
No, I'm just wondering the start time, which is some, the number is wrong. Time is wrong.
Correct.
It's either 5:45 to 6:05.
Would you want? We go start at 5:45?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
5:20.
Okay.
Okay,
Because it
doesn't say that.
the agenda says 6:55. Oh. Yes.
So we can also remind, oh, well, I'll let you guys. But, okay, so a little reminder for the retreat, whoever, I think everyone's coming. This is the time to start collecting little things around your house and your yard, on your outings for the decoupage. So we're creating, that's what we'll be doing in our hands-on art activity. It'll be led by Diane Aoki, who's an amazing artist. But we bring our own little trinkets, essentially. And she'll have some things as well.
It's helpful to look at the videos that she posted too. Those are that you can look at and see her work as well as other artists, and
Okay.
gives you a lot of ideas. I think she had 3 links.
Pardon?
She had 3 links to different
Okay.
art that you could see.
Okay, so everyone check out the videos. It'll be really fun. You know, she's got the frames, so you know, we'll have the frames and then put things in. They'll walk us through.
It's like a
that.
3D collage. It's really
Yeah.
cool.
And then of course, the other piece for a social piece that's like kind of doing a little travel show for us. So putting some slides together just so we can get to know you. And if you didn't travel anywhere, it can be a staycation. It can be even hanging out in your yard or, but bringing photos and just kind of really how it helps you think outside the box and how spontaneity leads to, you know, just laughter and joy and creativity. And so that'll be good. Okay. And then I just wanted to go over the living agreements with you. So if everyone could just go to the back of your agenda, and I want to go over the living agreement. So the living agreements are something that we'll use in all of our meetings and in a process like today, after both artists come and we have our dialogue, we're going to be using these living agreements. But I was also reading something, it's not just that these agreements are just agreements. but we'll be implementing them. I will be the one to call out if they aren't being followed in a really respectful way, just like, hey, I'm noticing that some of the living agreements aren't being followed. But what I want to ask all of you is that you actually have a commitment to them. And that's when it becomes more appropriate, is when you really have a commitment, like, okay, I'm gonna make a commitment to these because I have a commitment to this group. So just arriving on time, being prepared, following ground rules, being an active listener, responding calmly. Being mindful in your speech so that it's a productive dialogue, being open-minded, being curious and interested in what other people have to say, staying on topic, speaking respectfully, clearly and concisely, being mindful of the tone of your voice and your body language. And that, agreeing to disagree, being patient, kind, not shaming or blaming others, taking an interest in differing beliefs and opinions, being a team player. We can add more to this, but those are just some things to start. And I think most importantly too, when someone's talking, not to cut them off. Some people are more quiet than others, and when they finally talk, we want to be sure and hear them. And again, just remember that I'm taking notes, that no matter what, you are being heard, and it's my commitment to remember the concerns that you have.
Your necklace is really pretty.
Oh,
I like that.
I like yours.
Thanks. I was just looking to see what all those are made of, to take a closer look later.
Yeah.
Pretty little pieces.
Hi, everyone. Sorry.
Hey, Virgil.
Hi, good to see you.
So how do we
Welcome.
start?
Do you have a PowerPoint, or do you want us to plug anything in?
No?
Okay, great. You may have the floor.
Oh, okay. So this is the original sketch I did. I decided to add some color to it. So obviously the actual finished product would be a lot more detailed up this way. Thought you'd probably see the barn tends to be dark maroon, at least it's a little faded. So if we were to do the project, I would love to have that color just so I can do the edges so it stays nice and neat and tight. You can pass that around, would like. So, yes, let me see. Got some bullet points.
Yeah.
So I would like to start off with a story that, a couple of stories actually, before we wrap up to the concept of this painting. Firstly, I like to tell you a story of a couple of years ago. I had something that really, I had a moment that really made me think about community and this country, actually, and what it means to connect with art. A couple of years back, I had an exhibition in Cincinnati, and this is the first time I saw anybody in person prior to one of my pieces. It was, people comment online, that you put me to tears and whatnot, but you never really believe it, until you see it for yourself. And I remember this specific person, they started to get teary-eyed with one of the pieces that had to do with generational trauma. And I didn't want to approach, so I was like, I saw them and I was like, oh, awkward, I want to turn around and leave. But they saw me and they're like, are you the artist? And I said, yes, that's me. And we approached them, and funny enough, they were from Africa. And this painting, the main focus is an indigenous Mexican woman. And we talked for hours about, what it meant to be an immigrant and getting through trauma and generational things. And it was a powerful moment for me because it made me realize that this person from a completely different continent, right, could relate to an art piece that has to do with generational trauma. Because the power of art, sometimes it transcends cultures and identities and all kinds of things. So that was it'll wrap around to the concept of this mural. But the second one was actually Sally sent me this video about the Zen master. I don't know how to say their name, but I think it's a
Thich Nhat Hanh.
Thich Nhat Hanh. Thank you. And the video was about him telling a story about how he met Martin Luther King and how they connected with their concept of the beloved community. I mean, this is a person who saw the worst in society. I mean, this person had to witness war and the battle between completely two different ideologies, in capitalism and communism. And coming to America, they wanted to meet Martin Luther King. And they talked for a long time. And the thing is that they both had the same concept of what a community should be, which is where, the beloved community comes from. I don't know how to say it, but I think Sangha, which is like basically the Buddhist community.
Sangha, yes.
Yes, and I thought that was beautiful because, again, completely different parts of the world have the same concept of what it is to have a community and the power of I guess, having the same dream, and I guess this wraps around to the mural because I felt like this is what this country is about. It's not really, I mean, especially with places like Lakewood, right, where there's a lot of diversity. We live for moments like these where people who came from completely different backgrounds connect with one specific moment. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's what this mural should be. And when concept comes of the beloved community or the beloved community, I feel like something like this should be treated with subtlety and gentleness. I know there's a lot of other murals that I've done murals myself where it just shows a bunch of different faces from different backgrounds. But there's a time where art should hit you in the head, with its message. And then there's times where it should be subtle. And I feel like this is one of those times where it should be treated with gentleness and subtlety, because again, it's okay to have, again, those murals where they have a whole bunch of different faces and diversity, which I have also done myself, but it's also something we've seen all over the world already. You can Google it and you can get like a million different images from these kinds of murals, correct? So I feel like we should treat this message of the beloved community with something that has, I think, in a more metaphorical sense, it sends a message in a more gentle manner. I mean, having two kids from different backgrounds, ambiguous backgrounds, I feel like sharing food is important because I don't know if you've ever watched a show called Parts Unknown by Anthony Bourdain. This is a person who is a chef and traveled in some of the most remote places on the planet, where third world countries and places that were completely in war. And he connected with their communities through their food. And because food is something that we all share. I mean, just like when I have someone over and I share some Mexican cooking, it takes a lot of effort. First of all, it comes from the crops. And then for you to actually cook something, you're giving someone part of first of all, you and your culture. It's definitely and definitively comes with a lot of historical context when it comes to cooking, and that's why I think sharing food is valuable. And in this painting, it's two kids in a garden because, again, I feel like plant life is, growing crops is a task, and it takes a whole community to grow it. Just like it takes a whole community to raise a child, like it takes a whole community to teach children how to share and love each other, no matter what background and they may come from. And I believe that since I was reached out to about this project, we talked about how there was that section is gonna be treated for events and for, what was the other thing? The markets,
Mhm.
you know?
Market.
Exactly. So I think it's, again, it's community coming together. I feel like the in addition to this piece, it's the community itself. You don't need to add much more of that, you know? Basically, this mural is an addition to the space. The community is the art piece itself. And this is just, I think, something to complement that. Because, I mean, the fact that, I mean, even on this table, right, we have people from all different backgrounds are sitting here discussing about art. I think it's a beautiful thing. And I think that the mural should reflect that. And I think, I don't need this actually. I just realized that. And also, I think I wanted to explain about the monarch butterflies, because I know some people had some concerns that, well, I've used it in all my murals, but it's not, I mean, it's an art style, and and funny enough, it wasn't originally my idea to always use monarch butterflies in murals. It was first used in a piece that got vandalized, but it was always meant to represent migration and movement. In the Mexican culture, when the monarch butterflies come back, during actually this part, the time of the year, during Day of the Dead, it's known for it to be like our ancestors coming back to say hello. And I think that's why I like to include monarch butterflies, because it just represents a story and a community, and the sacrifices it took for us to even be here. I mean, we're all here because one of our ancestors had to suffer immensely. There is not one person in here that is here without one of our ancestors that had to suffer a lot at some point. So I think, again, it's those stories being told and the fact that we're here and from all kinds of backgrounds is what makes this community beautiful. And I guess, yeah, that's the concept of my mural. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Can we get it
You
on?
mind holding it up again for those on Zoom?
Of course,
Where's the camera? Can you turn it right up?
I can, yeah.
And you're gonna paint it directly onto the barn. And
Yes, it would be painted directly on the bar.
incorporating the colors, beautiful colors of the barn.
Yeah,
Thank you, Nikki.
and the tree, I mean, the way I designed, oh yeah, I guess I should talk about the plant life, right? That's also important. The tree in the background is an apple tree. I mean, Washington was the capital of apples for a long time. It's not anymore. I've looked it up. I don't know who it is.
Oh,
But
no.
at some point it was, and I thought that's why apples were nice to be represented, to be shared with. And then also use different plant lives, which I actually looked into at the Lakewood Gardens website, actually. A plant life that grows in Lakewood. So I actually wrote down a list of plant life that I could use on that over there. I can't remember the names on the top of my head, but it's written down there, and I had 2 check marks of the plant life I chose to use. So all the plant life that will be represented there and grown in this state, and specifically 2 of the plants are grown in Lakewood itself. So, again, completely, I felt like having a plant that represented this specific space would be just a neat addition that if you know, if you don't, you don't. And I think that's kind of cool about art,
There's actually an apple orchard in the park, like an old apple orchard. That
Very
the
good.
old residents of
Yeah.
Western State Hospital, like these things are like, century ago.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
I
that,
mean, yeah, it's kind of like on the back side of the hill and everything like that. There's an old apple orchard there.
The colors are so vibrant, they're almost glowing. Is that an effect you can actually get on the barn?
Oh, well, once you it's hard to know. Yeah, I painted crazy textures before. But once the paint is laid down, it's like just pops, especially with spray paint, because it has, it's like acrylic based and also latex based, but I will mainly be using spray paint just because especially with this climate, it'll be easier to get it to stick because it dries faster.
And what size are you proposing?
Mm,
The minimum size was 10 by 30.
Yeah, it'll be at least that. Yeah, that's why I had the corners because I measured it with the original concept right here. But I know that you guys wanted to see what it would look like when it actually blends into the barn. So,
Yeah.
that's what it is. So I'm guessing it'll be like 10 by 30. But it's probably a little more than that because of the tree splash, like
Yeah,
spreading
that's
out.
what's spreading out, yeah.
And but yeah, I mean, this color scheme, I'm really big fan of colors that I guess in a way I could express this color that you would want to eat. You know, like I use colors that may look like yogurt or candy or or pastel or something like that. Because like I feel like kind of like with food, the first thing you eat it with is with your eyes, and I try to put that in my artwork. It's something that you can eat with your eyes. But yeah. Any other questions?
I appreciate your narrative. It's
Right.
where the concept came.
I do. I just have to. I guess I usually don't tell these stories, but I want you to understand that when I create something, there's a story behind it, an intent. Everything I do is with intent, and that's important. I mean, like I didn't have to go. Most artists. I mean, I'm not gonna speak bad about artists because they're my people, but I'm like every artist has their way of doing things, and just mine is. I want to make sure that I represent the community. If that's exactly what they want. I've had opportunities where that's not a necessity, so I like to get because have more creative freedom in that. But if it's obviously we're here because it is important to your community. So I wanted to make sure that when I designed this mural in for this second meeting, right, was that I came with story and all the research I've done on the community. So you understand that I do care and it's important that I represent your community in a proper manner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're clearly not all artists, so, having that, I imagine if more of us were artists, we'd understand the symbolism without you having to tell us, but.
But I think that's a beautiful part about art. Not everything is meant for people to understand, and it's kind of like, if someone understands it, they'll understand it. Like you said, that was just a beautiful coincidence too. Like sometimes that's how it works out that way. Like someone could say, "Oh, did you know that there's an apple orchard?" And people would be like, "Oh, I didn't know that." And I think that's the cool part about art. It tells its story without it. Again, sometimes it's important to tell a story without hitting you over the head with it.
Could you talk a little bit about your timeline? We know now that we've pushed it out, that the weather, we're not going to put pressure on it to be done January 11th when the event is. I mean, if that would be great. But can you talk to us a little bit about what you need to, if you were to get selected, what type of weather windows you need and what your timeline is?
There is still time, but it's rough. It's rough, just because it's gonna get wetter and colder and darker. So if I'm gonna get like a lift, which I probably will need, then I have to cross my fingers and hope that while I'm renting this lift, that it doesn't pour every day, because it's like it drains your budget, having these machines there. So I guess it depends on how quickly I can get a lift there and how quickly I can get an assistant because again, it's a short time span. I probably need to get an assistant to help me at least for the first days to make sure that I finish this on time. If I can't, then we probably have to push it until after winter to make sure that there's, again, it's certain you can't paint over the temperature of 90 because the wall will get extremely hot and it will basically warp the paint and it will ruin the longevity of it. It's like you shouldn't paint under certain temperatures as well. I can't remember the top of my head, but probably around 50 degrees. So, I mean, it'd probably be okay. I would know some artists who painted while it's snowing. But longevity wise, I don't know if I would recommend it because I might start chipping sooner and discoloring quicker. And that's important too. I need to also look at the state of the wood. Because if it absorbs a lot of moisture, that could be an issue. And I would have to wait until it's definitely hot enough to lay paint down. Because if I go now, I'm like, okay, well, it's kind of like, it's raining now, but you could still probably paint like on concrete, or on cement or something like that, but if the wood is too moist, it might not, and too damp, it might not be a good idea. I might recommend that there is a layer of done before even touching the wall, just so you protect it. Before the weather gets worse, and then by the time it gets warmer again, then it's a good time to lay down actual colors. Because I mean, I always tell people like, as much as I like having work and stuff like that. I want to make sure that your money is spent well, because it's an investment, you know? What you guys are spending is an investment. So I want to make sure that your investment goes a long way.
Yeah, we wouldn't, I mean, wouldn't want you to compromise on that to meet the deadline. It's just.
And I
I
would
think we'll
never.
have many,
yeah.
many other beloved community events. I mean, that's the exciting thing about the theme is it's so deep and it would take years and years and years to, you know, run through all the symbolism and points of this. You know, it's just something that I think will go into perpetuity. So there'll be
Right.
lots of opportunities for people to have events around it. Your work if it's selected. So I just wouldn't, I wouldn't want it to be rushed and then not have the finished product. That'd be the best it could be.
Yeah, I'll leave that up to you guys, but I do have a question. I don't know. It's been so long that I don't know. How would the budget work? Is there like a deposit? Just a question for myself.
Yeah, typically we do that. We can do a deposit, pay something up front, and then the rest is typically paid after services are rendered.
That's fine.
But
Yeah.
It's negotiable.
Yeah, I just asked that because that will also come into how I budget everything. Because depending on organizations or cities, you know, each one has their own rules. Sometimes I get 50% immediately. So I've gotten like 80%, which is like amazing, but I wouldn't expect you guys to do that. But I just did a mural where I got no deposit. So everything has to come out of pocket, you know?
No, that's.
And which is why I didn't get a lift for that one. So if I would at least like something that would cover the expenses for the lift and things like that. And my time obviously is all yours until I'm done. Any concerns at all? Any questions?
Any questions on Daryl, Sylvie, Lua?
Can we get the pieces sent to us so we can look at them closely because it was pretty quick.
She wants it then, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, because you have to email Lua.
Oh, sorry.
Do you want more?
Because Lua didn't get to see it at all because she left early.
I'll email it to you guys and just.
I can also take a picture
Yeah.
of it and email it to Charlotte.
Oh, yeah, I can,
Yeah.
actually, I've got her.
Yeah.
Let me just do it here. I've got her. Sorry. Thank you.
Good to see you.
See you too.
Yes, it's quite good to see you. You just have to go to bed for it. All this, thunder. I'm gonna text you, okay?
Thank you.
Daryl, do you want it too?
That would be great. Thank you.
Also a reminder that I do realism in faces, so this is just again a draft to show the color scheme and everything.
I like the blue.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
cool.
It's
And with the red of the barn, that's gonna just.
Yeah, that's what
pop,
actually
you know?
ultimately made me choose those colors for
Uh-huh.
the skin tones. Because I'm like, the darks are red, so it would really balance out with the background of the barn. And yeah, like I said, if I could get the actual original color of that barn, at least to do a border, that would be great. Because like I said, I looked at the picture again, and there's a lot of wear and tear on that, and I wouldn't want it to just like, you know, clean it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I would leave it up to you guys if you guys would want to like paint the rest at the same time, you know, that way just to like have it like a fresh look at it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you.
You guys enjoy your evening.
Thanks.
So, without talking, we'll just go ahead and you can, write in your final scores. Circle your final artist. You can work backwards. If you know you like a certain artist, circle their name and then make sure that they've got the highest score. I do want to say one thing. There is another side to that barn. We have enough money to do both sides.
Yeah.
If you're really torn, you know, we can absolutely use two artists. We can plan now for the mural and, you know, we can do 2 or 3 murals and yes.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, okay. And so, you know, we're almost there. We're almost in 2025. So just keep that in mind. Yes.
So I also wanted to know about money for purchasing art. Like if, like, for instance, like Rodney already had kind of finished a piece. Like if we wanted to, if we went with Carico, like would there be money to purchase the finished piece that Rodney? That.
You mean a 10 by 30 piece?
No, like, cause we have money in the budget to purchase art to hang, it's like, you know, in City Hall
Yeah.
and things.
So city council hasn't gotten to the point where they've said you can spend this much.
Okay,
They've just said, we want to, and then the next step is for us to say, we think you should buy 1 piece a quarter,
okay.
or we think you should buy 1 piece annually and spend this much.
Got it.
And we need to do that at our next meeting, so I'll get that.
So would that?
But let's not go too far down that road.
Okay, okay.
Are there lists that the city can supply to them instead of them paying for it out of pocket?
Yeah, we'll discuss that at our next meeting.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I was just wondering, because maybe there's a lot of machinery out there, so anyway.
Yeah.
I'd imagine. I'm an artist not even.
Yeah, like, yeah,
Their best work.
right.
If they're not being able to. Live.
Yeah, out of pocket, having to pay out of pocket.
Oh, we'll make sure that they have the money they need. We'll make sure they have the money they need. Yeah. for sure. I mean, we're not going over the 10,000, but they've got enough money in deposit. So when you're done, you can hand it to me. We have people voting. Via email tonight. I couldn't make the meeting, so I can't make any announcement.
Sally, that was great.
Thank you so much.
I will give you that. All right. Guys, I have to go.
It was good to see you, Susan.
Nice to see you.
How's the level
Uh,
of Robbie Lake?
So thank you, everyone. We're going to close down the meeting. Those of you who are online, please, fill out your form, and send it to me. And if you can't send the form, you can just send your final vote. That'd be helpful.
Great.